Hello, welcome to Handmade by Julia Quinn and my Thursday afternoon Facebook Live. I have this little card to share with you today. This card was actually inspired, how do I put it? The card was inspired by a page, the colours for the card actually were inspired by a scrapbooking page that I did last week. And the colours for the scrapbooking page were inspired by the photos I used. Let me show you the page. So the page uses the same stamp set, which is Notes of Nature stamp set, to do very, very similar things to what I've done on the card. And I've also used on my scrapbook page Memories and More stickers from the Sweet Moments, Memories and More cards and envelope, Memories and More cards. But I asked my daughters to give me some photos, and these are the photos they sent me, and the colours are the ones that sent me on my journey to do crumb cake and black with touches of white for my colour scheme. Okay, so here's the card inspired by the colour scheme on that scrapbooking page, and it uses Notes of Nature and also features the hybrid embossing folder, Thoughtful Expressions, and it does a technique of collage stamping, which I really love, really enjoy doing. Okay, let me get my bits and pieces. I have tried to do a lot of things beforehand, so you don't have to wait too long for too many things. Alright, these ones are for inside, I'm pretty sure. So I'll just pop them inside. Here's my panel for the front of my card. I'll just pop this out of the way. I have die cut all my little leafy bits. These leafy bits are from the Notes of Nature dies, which coordinate beautifully with the, let me show you the Notes of Nature dies. So the bits I've die cut are these little guys. So I've done, I think, 2 of each. And this one too. Long, thin, very detailed, lovely dies with lovely leafy elements. I have also used this die as well, and you can see here for my greeting, just a little bit of interest on the greeting. Okay, so those are the Notes of Nature dies. Let's get started on stamping, and I'm going to use this little one and this one. The dots are fantastic, and the leaf and the little flower. And also today is all about you. There's quite a few stamps in my project, but thank goodness that the Notes of Nature stamp set has all of it. I was going to use a bigger block, but I think it'll be easier for my hands if I just use a smaller block. So I'm going to stamp the Notes of Nature little element there, and I think while I've got my stamp, I'll stamp the inside of my card as well. That way we can get all the stamping done all at the same time, because I've got some fun things to show you with what I've done with the colouring techniques on my card here. Okay, next stamp is this little lattice piece. I'm going to stamp that just here and another bit down there. All it is a tiny bit of texture in the background, and the same with this one here. Down the bottom, this piece is for the inside of my card, so I want a fair bit of room for writing on. Okay, and I think that's all my crumb cake stamping done. Okay, now with my Memento Black, I'll stamp the leaf image a couple of times on the front of my card, one up here and one down in that corner. Okay, so it doesn't get lost. And then I also have this little tiny flower, stamp that once for the front of the card over here, just beside where the greeting will go. And then the dots, I love the dots. I've got the dots on the inside. Dots are a perfect way of hiding any mistakes you have. So there's the inside of my card all stamped. And I've got some dots down here, a couple up here, and maybe another set of dots just there. All right, and then last of all, I'll stamp the greeting. Today is all about you, and then we'll be all done and dusted. Now I have already got my bit of cardstock here, and I've done the die cutting and torn that edge. When you die cut using that die, it creates, here's the die, I'll show you what I'm talking about. It creates little holes all the way along with a perforated edge, and I've just torn that to create two pieces of cardstock at the same time. Okay, close my lid here. Right, so that's all the stamping done. Now you can see on my card here I've got the touches of white, and there are a couple of ways you can do this. One way you can do this is to use our selection watercolor pencils, selection 1 I think they are, and use the white watercolor pencil and then just, oh whoops, color in. I need my pencil sharpener, excuse me. Alright, I won't sharpen that too long so that it doesn't fall out. And then just colour in between the lines. I'm not colouring very precisely, I'm just adding bits of white. Okay. Does need a little bit of pressure for the white to show up on the crumb cake, but it is a beautiful effect. There we go. And on this leaf, I'm trying not to colour over the top of the lines because the watercolour pencil will actually cover them up. Okay. Alright, so that's that one done. Hang on, we'll do the flower as well while we're at it. There we go. And another way you can get that lovely white effect is to use our Whisper White Craft ink pad. Okay, it comes uninked, but you get a white ink refill with it, and I have actually squirted some onto the lid of my pad here, and using our blending brushes. Now these are, they come in a pack of 3, and they have glycerin and a few other things in them, but basically they can convert any sort of ink or watercolor pencil into a texture a bit like, thank you Sharon, I love this technique too. They can create anything into sort of a felt tip type texture. So this is the other way you can add white to your cardstock, is just, oh, and it's a lot more intense than the watercolor pencil, but it will dry lighter. Okay, so I'm just adding bits of color in between the dark lines there. And you can see why this this technique works so nicely, and this stamp set works so nicely on my scrapbooking page. It's just a quick and easy way of just adding some background texture, and you don't need to rely on designer series paper to give you that lovely little background. There you go. So that's all done, and if you have a look, you can see that it's starting to dry now, and it dries a little bit lighter than the actual color. Okay, all right, we'll pop that away now, close you up. So that's 2 different ways you can add white to your cardstock. It looks particularly effective with crumb cake. You can either use your watercolor pencil or the ink pad and your blender pen. You can also use a water painter, but the effect is quite a lot thinner and watery, as you would expect given the name. Okay, let's start putting our card together. I'll do the inside first so that can be all done and dusted. So I've just got a piece of white layering onto a piece of crumb cake. So my card is a standard card, so 14.5 centimeters by 10.5. So my crumb cake will be 14 by 10 centimeters. And then the white, I think, is just a little bit smaller. So that's the inside of my card done. And just before we stick this on the front, I've got some ribbon, and I like to adhere ribbon just to the back of my card. I like to leave it loose just in case. So I'll trim off a bit of that. My beautiful gingham ribbon, I love it. Now I've got a feeling that's a little bit wet still. So while I just line that up there, okay, and add that one just onto, there we go. So there's my greeting done. little bit of a border there. And on the back of, I'm going to put that onto my card with dimensionals, but I'll just put them sort of right in the middle because I'm going to add all the other things. And while I'm waiting for that to dry too, I'll tell you about this other greeting, the Oh Happy Day. It is one of the greetings on the Thoughtful Moments hybrid embossing folder, which is so much fun. The embossing folder has this coordinating die that actually just sort of clicks in place on the top of the folder, and I've just added my foil paper. You can use a whole 6 inches by 6 inches, but I only used a scrap here, but I've ended up with 3 greetings I can pop away in my collection. That's a fantastic hybrid folder. So, and they just pop out, and then you've got this texture as well as die cut. So we're using Oh Happy Day. Pop that away. I've put some dimensionals on the back of Oh Happy Day. 1, 2. All right, now that should be good now. It's rather hot here today, so I hope my fan on is not disturbing you and giving you too much background noise. Oh look, see, there was a bit. Just use my little rag and wipe the glass there so I don't put it anywhere else. And wrap that around using my fingers to stick that on. Okay, there we are. And because that's still a little bit wet, I'm going to put my adhesive on the front of my card, making sure I don't go too close to the edges so it doesn't show up. And then pop my card straight on the top. There we go. Then I'm going to put my greeting just on the side there. Today is all about you. Happy birthday. This card could be used for most occasions, I think. Oh Happy Day. Pop you up there. Oh, that's a bit crooked. There we go. Right, now these guys, I'm actually going to use liquid glue to put them onto the card. I'm just turning them all around, and just add a tiny bit of glue to a couple of leaves. The less is more with this glue. Don't want to add too much because it goes everywhere. Oops. And a little bit on here. Here we are. A couple of little bits here. My hands are hot and sweaty, so I'm sticking to everything. I don't even need glue to stick. All right, now, first of all, I'll add this one. So I've left some bits of it purposefully not glued so I don't get it everywhere. This one here. Pop you. This glass mat's good for sliding things off. It slides very nicely. Whoop. Tuck you underneath there, push you down. As I said, sticky fingers. Another one over here. This big one down the bottom. Just adding to that little bit of interest. Oh, I think that's everything. Oh, well, I've got these extras here now, so I may as well put them on, hey? On there. One here. Excuse my arm being in the way. Oh, nope. Put you there. And you can go down here next to that one. And then I've also added some little woven trim. Just to give it a bit more texture. Loving the textured bits and pieces. And I'm going to use mini glue dot for that one because it's just so much easier with ribbon. Mini glue dot. And pop you halfway underneath there. There we go. That one's stuck. And a little bit more just behind the Oh Happy Day. Once again, mini glue dot. here. There we go, right behind there. And last of all is some cork rounds, which are also part of the lovely Notes of Nature suite. These are so beautiful. And they're nice and flat, which makes them good for posting as well. In your letters, they're not too big inside the envelope. Okay, oop, that one. And another two there. There we go. So, Notes of Nature, collage stamping, using white on your crumb cake, inspired by a scrapbook page, which was inspired by the colours, inspired by the photos that I used for my scrapbook page. I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye bye now.